everyone. I'm so excited. I'm doing a special edition with my friend Sabina. So I'm really, really excited that we are going to be talking to you about something that's relatively new. We're innovators, right?
Oh yeah.
We're innovating this concept.
We are many decades of innovating, by the way. So just to clarify.
Yes, but we're babies still. So,
We are. We are.
yes, we are innovating this concept that really is not a new concept for the rest of the world. But for home builders, maybe. So we're going to be talking today about why education is the new marketing and sales engine for builders. And this concept kind of came about because we were kicking around some ideas for the International Builders Show. So fingers crossed for us, we submitted this for the International Builders Show next year. So hopefully you can see us live with a whole bunch of extra stuff thrown in. But why wait? Let's go ahead and kick this off. So Sabina, I'm going to let you talk about Hiveology and all the stuff that you're doing and let you introduce yourself. And then I will introduce myself on the back end of that. So take it away.
I love it. Well, thank you. And I'm excited about talking about this stuff, and especially with you. So this is a really fun run up to, I think, the conference. So hopefully we'll see everybody in Orlando. So I'm very excited about that. So my name is Sabina Steinbrecher. I am the CEO and founder of Hiveology. We are an award-winning e-learning company, but our focus has always been on using education for either revenue, recruitment, or retention. And we've been applying our skills of late to the builder community, which is relatively new for us, but discovering that, of course, there's a ton of overlap. But I've spent the last 24 or 5 years in the real estate space. So this is not a new thing for us. It's just that I've been coming at it mostly from the real estate agent side or the
We call
association.
that used homes.
Yes, used homes. Definitely the used home space more than the brand new spanking beautiful, fresh new home space.
There you go.
But yeah, so I've been at this for a very long time. So and when Kimberly and I connected, started with courses about training agents on new home sales, which we're still working on. But we recognized that there was a really awesome opportunity to take some of this and turn it into content and really good, hopefully good direction strategy for builders too. And it's gone so far as to us actually already starting to work with our first builders. So we have real stories to tell you, which I'm kind of excited about.
Yes, absolutely. And we've got some best practices to share. I'm not going to let you get away though without talking about Hiveology and why your company is called Hiveology
Sure.
and what your side business is, what that goes along with that.
A
So
little side business. So Hiveology was named for kind of two reasons. On one hand, it's really an ecosystem for training. So it's really been designed to function like a hive. We're very much driven by this idea of connecting education to other elements like coaching and analytics and all this other good stuff so that it functions like a hive. We also see ourselves, by the way, as like education researchers. So we are hivologists, which makes me the chief hivologist. Thank you very much. Or Queen Bee you can go that
I
way
prefer,
too.
yes, I was going to say Queen Bee,
I
but
can't
hey,
use it though. It's out. Believe me, there's some much more famous people than me that are using Queen Bee, so
yes, yes,
we
yes.
really can't go there.
No, do
However,
not upset the beehive.
we are not going to do that. So I will never go there. But on the other side, we have a social mission that's kind of exciting, and it's my pet mission has been for a long time, but now we've made it part of our business as well. So 3% of all of our revenue goes back into bee conservation projects. So we are very, very focused on what's happening with our pollinators, and we're pretty excited about supporting them. So we're mostly doing that through education, of course, but we actually have built an apiary, and we have a sister company that's called Sweetwood Mountain, and that's at sweetwoodmountain.com for all of you people who want to check us out. But 100% of the profits from that company also go back into bee conservation projects. So that's the connection with hives across both sides.
So you're creating a buzz.
Yes, we are. Absolutely. And
I'm so bad.
there are so many beautiful bee jokes that we can pop in here that'll drive everybody insane. So we won't go too crazy, but yeah. That's what we're doing.
So yes, in post-production, I probably need to have little bees
Oh, there'll
swarming
be
around
like bee
everywhere,
ideas floating.
just so we bring this completely home. So
Exactly. But I will say, just to sell it, because remember, 100% of profits, guys. So we do closing gifts and gifts in general that are honey focused. So there's these little lovely little boxes and ideas. So of course, we'd appreciate it if you guys are up for supporting it. That would be pretty amazing. Thank you.
I think I now know what I need for gifts and giveaways now. So
Holidays are always
the
coming. There's
holidays are
always
coming
something.
up, right? Yeah, there's something. Yes, there's
There's
something going
always
on there.
something.
So, well, fantastic. Well, I'm glad that we are collaborating on this idea,
Mhm.
and we have to give a little shout out to our buddy Mike Lyon for making this introduction. So, Sabina met Mike Lyon at the Pacific Coast Builders Show, and he said, "You need to talk to Kimberly Mackey," and so she did. And I thought, "Oh, great, Mike's just sending somebody he doesn't want to deal." And then I met this woman, and now she's my sister. So,
Very much.
I hope you guys will genuinely see this connection that the two of us have, and I feel like I found a kindred spirit in life.
Yes,
So
me
I hope to
too.
be doing more things with her, not less.
I actually
Including,
think we even look related. That one picture of us from the show in Vegas, I was like, wait a minute, you could be like a half sister.
that's on my aura frame. So you made the aura frame. So all
Oh,
right.
nice.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am Kimberly Mackey. My company is New Home Solutions Consulting. I work with builders and developers all over the country. And I like to say that my company is who you call when you want sales to be the engine that drives the train rather than running it off the tracks. So, if I can help you, I do training. But I also mostly do immersion consulting. So I help you to make sure that your processes, your systems, everything that you are doing supports your sales goals so that you can have consistent, persistent, and most importantly, profitable, predictable sales. So if I can help you with that, you give me a call. So all of that out of the way, let's dive into our topic here. We're doing things a little differently. Normally head to head, we do in front of a live audience, and we said this is we can't wait. I'm booked out for that show for the head to head for the year 2025, and I'm like this topic is too important. So we're going to do a special edition of this. So this is our special edition. And we're going to break it up into two segments because introducing the topic and the why and the how are kind of I think two different things here. So why should you do this so you can start thinking about it?
Mhm.
And we've even got some cool tools that you'll be able to download from us, which will be absolutely fantastic to help you get started with it. And then we've got a more in-depth part two. So there, we're going to break this up. So you get a chance to, if you want to watch it all the way through, fantastic. If you want to break it up and take this in bite-sized chunks so that you can start to implement some of this stuff, just do it. Like Nike says, just do it because we need to do a better job, as we know, of builders connecting with our audience. And this is a great way to do it and demystify the process of what we do so that more people are more comfortable with the idea of buying new homes versus used homes. We want new, right? Bright, shiny new, for sure. Okay, so why education is the new marketing and sales engine for builders? Let's take it. Let's start at the top, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's talk big picture. What is it, and what the heck can we do with it?
Honestly, I think maybe a good place to start, if it's okay with you, is thinking about the shifts that are happening in marketing in this industry. But
Yeah,
frankly, I'll be honest with you, everything we're going to talk about really sort of applies to most industries, at least the why part. And then when we get to the how, we can be more specific to what specifically you need to do as a new home builder. But there have been, a number of things that I'm sure everybody has sort of been feeling at some level. And this is things like it's much harder these days to get attention. There's so much noise and there is so much content in the marketplace. We're finding that a lot of people are struggling because just deciding how to live and be in a content focused marketing world where you've got all these different channels is really creating some challenges for everybody. And although I think we know at some level that this idea of being the category defining voice or the leader in your space is important. I don't think a lot of people know how to go from where they are now to being that category defining voice. Like, how do you truly become the thought leader in your area? There's, I mean, let's face it, there are massive media companies whose entire strategy is to develop people that are influential to help them understand, what it is that they do that's better, special, different, etc., that makes them the category defining voice. And that is what we're talking about today as it relates to this smaller market. But the way I think of it is attention is the new currency. Like, this is the way to think about it. Like, how do we get attention? How do we capture them? Whether it's at the front end of the pipeline or all after, it's always about attention, and it's always about revenue, recruitment, and retention. Those are the pieces that we're talking about. So hopefully
Well,
that helps explain it a little bit. But I know you've seen this more every day as it relates to builders. So, maybe you've got a better example.
yeah, and I mean, I think what I'm hearing you say is this can be a great equalizer because a lot of our
Yeah,
builders are the smaller builders who don't have the marketing budget.
right.
And they can't compete with the big publicly traded guys on that, where the big publicly traded builders who honestly don't do a lot of advertising either. This is a way to kind of level that playing field and really showcase why one of my builders, who is a smaller builder up in New York, actually, I got a chance to visit with you in person when I was up there.
Yeah,
It actually asked me about creating podcasts and, was very interested in this space, seeing that what content creators were doing out there. And I thought that was a great idea. And then to take this and apply it more to that education space. So I know you and I have talked about this, that my offsite builders that I work with, I see them doing this a lot more. They
mhm,
offer these explainer videos. They have more the handheld person about town video. They're going at it in multiple directions. And our on-sites tend to still stick with, oh, let's tour the home. Let's, here's a cute picture of a family in front of it. Here's the sold sign. It's the same old stuff. And like you said, you can't really cut through the noise when
yeah,
you're doing what everybody else is doing. I mean,
yeah.
if I see another picture of, do you like this kitchen or that kitchen better? Come on. I mean, that your
Mhm.
buyers have bigger questions other than, are the cabinets black or white?
No question. And and regardless of you, if you even, maybe you don't even have like the most exciting secret sauce in the world, but if you are the trusted builder because you're guiding them through the process, that alone could be your differentiator. That's what's so exciting about this is I think that you don't even have to be the most amazing new, sliced bread thing ever. This is your opportunity to guide people, become the trusted source, and know that you are there as the brand that will support them through this process. Right. And that's true for any of your audiences, which I think is the other thing we'll talk about as we get a little further. But, your audience could be doing that for consumers, it could be for agents, it could be for different kinds of consumers. Like one of the builders I'm working with, we defined seven, I think, or maybe more, 7 or 8 different avatars for them. So we're looking at this. I mean, honestly, it's this endless opportunity for wonderful content. Like, really exciting.
So
It
she's
gets
saying you don't have to be the star.
right.
You can actually have an AI generated avatar be your star. You just need to tell people that's what it is so they
Yes,
understand it. But
true, true.
yeah, I
But
mean, I think that's part of the problem is a lot of our builders
yeah,
are really camera shy and they don't want to be the star of the show. You don't have to be. So we are definitely going to give you a lot about that. I think you do, though, have to understand your process.
you
And I
do.
think that's a big part of this, and maybe why our offsite builders
Mhm.
have a little leg up on this process because they know what their process is. Obviously, they're literally manufacturing it
Right,
step A to step Z. And maybe as on-site builders, we haven't really thought it through. I mean, certainly we know the components, we know the order. You got to have a strong foundation before you start building your walls,
right.
before you put the roof on. Like, I mean, we understand that process, but have we really thought through the advantages of every part of this process?
Right, right,
Because
right.
buyers
Yes.
don't know. And realtors don't know. I mean, like you said, these can be segmented kind of things. You could
Mhm.
be the go-to educational source for your local realtors, or you could be the go-to source, for the buyer, the end buyer. It really doesn't matter. Like you define who that audience is, and in many
Right.
cases, it may cross over.
Well, and that's what I was, and that's where I found that when we define the different audiences or avatars, depending what you call them, you've got this idea that you can develop content for, like, maybe you are better suited for seniors for some reason, or maybe you're better suited for young families, or maybe you're doing multifamily, or who knows. Like one of the builders that I talked to on the weekend, they're a prefab builder, but they do multi-family or multi-unit prefabs, which I thought was really interesting. And I mean, my experience is nowhere near as deep as you guys. So I was kind of like, well, that's a whole, like, I just was thinking about all the educational opportunities. It's like talking about that. That's its own little market. So now you've got an educational track, basically. It's really kind of simple when you think about it from that perspective. But, I think the bottom line is, and I'm sure you've seen this too, Kimberly, like, the fact is that home buyers are making decisions differently than they used to. So we need to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
There's a million pieces of data and research these days that is telling us that people are going a very long way in their decision process before they ever talk to you, before they ever walk through your door, before they ever talk to a salesperson. You need to make sure that you are out there with thought leadership and education that is really showing your brand in the way that it needs to, and they
Well,
have the right information.
and the biggest challenge that we have in today's market
Mhm.
is fear. People are afraid. They don't know what's going to happen to the stock market. They don't know if pricing is going to go up.
Right.
Affordability is at an all-time low. People are afraid, is this the right time? This doesn't make any sense to me
Right.
because we think prices are going to plummet. Well, we know that doesn't historically happen.
Mhm.
So how do we take these buyers and walk them through this process so that, again, we demystify the process? And I
Yeah.
always say happy, educated buyers are the people that you want, because if the fact that they are educated, they also get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's okay to talk about, concrete cracks. You could do an entire video, an entire educational series on concrete and how it's used, the different types of concrete that we use, and when it cracks. When is it okay? When is it not okay? But the
Yeah.
thing we do know is concrete 100% of the time it's going to crack. Buyers just don't know that, and they freak out when they see a hairline crack, right? So,
You know what? You just said something that I think is so incredibly important. And even if that's your entire education strategy, that alone is critical, because imagine not only are you doing, like, you are sort of end running any potential issues later, but you're also, perhaps for people that maybe are a bit more knowledgeable, you're dealing with objections ahead of time. You're
yes.
making life a lot
See
easier.
how my sales brain works? I'm always trying to get one
Yeah,
step ahead of those
that's
objections.
why you and I work well together. I'm on education and marketing and you're sales and marketing. So it's perfect to put these together. But I keep thinking about this from the sales perspective too. Like, obviously, if we do a good job of this and there's great information out there already, that is something that will also train salespeople, by the way. But besides that, it is something salespeople can point to, but more often than not, they've all seen that long before they touch the salesperson anyway. We know that. So this is your silent salesperson that's operating out in the world for you. So you definitely want to do a good job of it. And if it's to your point, I love the idea of having some fun with it too. Like, you don't have, like, that's the kind of stuff that you can really sort of have a bit of a sense of humor with too, I would think. It could be fun.
Absolutely. And there's so many things that we use, so much jargon. Like, I mean, the list goes on, but the things when you start talking to the general public or even the general realtor, that they just don't know because we use all these weird acronyms for things.
Right.
The word spec means five different things in our industry. First of all, unless you are Horton and you hear a who, you should never use the word spec when talking to a buyer, because again, it means so many different things. It's very confusing, and I am referring to Dr. Seuss and not the builder Horton. So he carried, that was the elephant that carried around the little speck of dust, and he could hear the who's in Whoville. That's one thing. If you're that, we're not. So we shouldn't be using that
Right.
kind of jargon. But even that could be a whole thing right there. Like there's so many assumptions, and we know when you assume what happens. So to me, this is the opportunity to take those assumptions, put them completely aside,
Right.
and create this, like you said, it's kind of the pre-sales process. Think about this for your OSCs, your online sales counselors. If they had this as their drip to send out, what to expect when building a home, step by step by step. And it was broken out in little segments.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of the power of that, and how many more people are going to continue to engage with you because it's interesting
Yep.
content, it's relevant content, and they start to feel more confident as they go through this. Then they go, you know what? I think I can do this. Yes, I want a new home.
Yeah, it's also what I love about it too is it's a reframe for everybody. You are coming at what you do from an educational perspective first. So that reframes things from promotion to education. So now you're guiding them. You don't have sales language triggers that turns a lot of people off now. People are much more sophisticated than they've ever been.
Okay, say
So
that in very plain. We're builders are we like plain speaking. So say that one because that's really important. Say that very plain to all of our builders who are thinking about doing this.
that the part about doing this, well,
About
maybe
the
you could
sales
go.
language.
Oh, about sales language. I'm so sorry. I wasn't sure which part you meant.
Yeah.
Yes, that this is about reframing sales language to education. So this is going to, I think, be a much easier, less salesy, less, let's face it, less resistance when you have a simple education first model. That's how
So
I,
we would not self promote.
right.
So we can't say, I'm Bodacious Builders and we do things so much better than everybody else. And here's why. That would not be how your buyers need to receive this information.
Correct. Correct. This
So,
is exactly, think of it as like you're teaching them instead of selling them, or you're guiding them. You know, this is the way to think about it. So you don't feel like you're just like ringing your, your bell and tooting your own horn. You're really doing something that is helping guide them through this process, and you will gain trust. You're not selling them, you're not turning them off, but it's still a silent salesperson. You're still achieving sales, you're still achieving lead generation. There's no
and
question.
you're building brand on top of it.
Yes,
So you can
100%.
wear your branded logoed apparel while you do this. You can wear
Right.
your branded hard hats. I mean, my hard hat, oh, I pointed the wrong way. My hard hat has a life of its own.
I know. I want one of
You
those, by the way.
it's a one of
That's
a
going to
kind.
be. So I always say the other way to think of it is they don't need more features. So if you're just going to be talking features, you're in this sort of old school sales mode, right? So they
Not a
want,
feature benefit thing. No.
yeah, they want clarity, they want safety, they want confidence. This is what you're going to do. And how you do that is we'll talk about later, but this is really the difference between what people were doing before and what people need to be doing now. And what is really exciting, and Kimberly, you know this better than me by far, is I believe there's a huge opportunity here because there aren't that many builders who are approaching sales this way, from what I can see. There's a massive
No, there's a
opportunity.
couple of them, but they stand out for sure.
Yeah, but I think there's two things in my opinion, and certainly I'd love your thoughts on this, but I think there's two opportunities. One, being a category defining voice through education is not common in this space yet. So
Right.
that's already a huge opportunity. The second thing is that we're at a bit of a tipping point, I believe, with new home sales and different kinds of new homes being, I believe more popular than they were in previous years. So
We
You
have
know that
statistics to
better.
back that up because
Yeah,
we are at the closest we've ever been to the price of a used home.
right.
Usually there's a new home premium that you have this gap, and it's a price gap, and it's a real thing, even despite our incentives, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, with the incentives and a lot of the things that are happening, there's actually a new home advantage
Right.
over used homes.
Mhm.
Now, as more used homes come back in the market, that could erode, or we could keep riding this train, and I'm all for that. So,
Mhm.
and keep this at about the same because 80% of our competition has always been used homes. We
Right.
forget that. We only look at each other and we're like, oh, it's Joe Builder down the street or this builder or that builder. No, that's a small segment of the market.
Mhm.
But new homes since 2020 have risen to about 40% of the market versus being about 20% of the market.
Yep.
So,
And I
yeah.
also think, Kimberly, that there's a even bigger opportunity coming for the smaller new homes. There's so much money that's going into affordable, opportunities for people. The cities are doing more for everything from an ADU all the way up to, some sort of a smaller home footprint. That's another new home area that I think is really going
Mhm.
to explode. So between the two, if you come to this thinking about what we're talking about as an opportunity to lead the way and capture those people in your market, I think that's absolutely the right way to approach this right now.
Yeah, and there's because of that fear, I mean, it even opens up more doors. So
Yeah.
if your target demographic is a first-time buyer and you have first-time buyer programs, education on that is completely necessary. And while I advocate doing live events for that, you can also do this. So it could be something that, again, your sales team can use in their arsenal.
Mhm.
It's populating on your website, it's populating on your social. I mean, there's just a myriad of places all this stuff can live, and people are searching for that information. And now, because of the advent of AI, and like it or not, AI is a very big part of our world. So when you do a Google search now, you no longer have to know what the keywords are. Keyword searches are gone. They're yesterday. The keywords today are is AI finding you because you have content that people want. And then the AI is repurposing that and sending it back to the people. So you should be that trusted resource because the AI will then say, this is what I found. And it will actually, and if people ask, it'll tell it where. But if
Yeah.
you want to be found, you're going to have to get involved in this. And this content marketing that we've been talking about for years and years and years and years
Mhm.
is now here, but everybody's content can't sound exactly the same and be so
Yeah.
vanilla. We got to break out. And I believe that doing educational and explainer type scenarios and videos and projects and putting that out there, I believe that's your way to stand out in a very crowded marketplace.
For sure. And and that links to it links also to advertising, right? Because a lot of people are looking at, I think even advertising still confuses everybody. I see it all the time where these days we're like, what are we supposed to be doing? Are we supposed to be doing Facebook ads? Are we supposed to be doing reels? Are we supposed to be doing whatever, right? And I
The
really
answer is
truly
yes.
believe, yeah, the answer is yes. But then it's also, oh my God, what's the content supposed to look like within these ads, right? What's exciting about this is, if you think about the way most of the ads have been in the past and still to a large degree today, ads really push. So you're pushing product really, as opposed to pulling people in with value.
Right.
That's a massive distinction. And if you use education, it becomes simple to find the solution, in my opinion. So you're pushing or
You're not
pulling, you can
driving people to your
choose.
product. You almost
Right,
drive them to the education,
right.
which, because of their comfort level and the overcoming their fear,
Mhm.
then drives them to you. So it is creating this middle universe for people
Yeah,
to visit, but it's less salesy, like you said. It's less in your face. It's less, oh, buy now, because that really didn't work. Everybody during the pandemic, oh, let's have buy now buttons, buy now. But no, buyers are scared. They still need they need you. They really need you as part of this process, and they want you to hold their hand. Some of them don't want you to physically hold their hand, but they do want you to hold
Any
their
of
hand with
them.
the information and dripping it and giving them this great content. So, and again, it is a total change of mindset,
Yeah.
because the tendency is to go, look at me. And it's not look at me. It's like, look at this, check this out. Let me help you understand this.
100%. That's what's so exciting about it. And it's, when you think about how much it will lower skepticism, it increases trust. It's like there's just so many wonderful reasons to do this. And I think that, we'll show when we get into the next segment, we'll talk a little more about how, but I really feel like if you can think about it as, a buyer who's learning from you early is basically halfway to saying yes. That's a lovely way to sort of think about it. I think any of these things will resonate with lots of people. Truthfully, it's not hard to understand why the education flips the model. I think the trickier part is what's the strategy, right? Like, how do I use this?
Yeah.
Um, you know, is it faster? Like, well, maybe we'll talk about that. What do you think? Should we, you know, how do we describe? I mean, maybe we've done this pretty well already, but this idea that can it also shorten the sales cycle? Like, is it faster than advertising? That's a really interesting way to think about it too. I mean, I'm obviously going to come at this from a hell yes, but we think about it maybe that way too. Maybe that'll help everybody because it's an investment that is different. It's still an investment, but it's a different kind of investment.
I think we have to go even one step before that. Is it
Yeah.
faster than advertising? Yes, because we're drawing in instead of pushing out. So there's that concept, which I think all of us can get behind.
Mhm.
Is it faster than a floor pop? And the problem that I see with builders is if it's not a floor pop, at least with on-site sales, if it's not a floor pop, they come in today, they buy today, then it's almost like, oh, it's so much work. Can I really do this? And as builders, we're busy. Like, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. None of us are working with the budget that we want. We're not working with the staff that we would like to have. We don't have a specialist to do this. So I think we do need to look at a roadmap. And I would say that this is not a really expensive thing to do, but I think it's something that you probably do need an accountability partner, a strategist, or an outsourced company to do for you, because this is not what you do. And you want it to not look overproduced, but you also want it to be professional. And
Yeah.
did I overcomplicate that?
No, I think that there's some elements of this. Like you mentioned, I think it was a good point that one of your builders was saying to you that they wanted to do a podcast. There's nothing wrong with the idea of doing a podcast. The problem is that's not part of a strategy. There is, because if this is done well, the strategy will connect the dots between the different platforms. It will repurpose the content. And out of that will fall which of the different mechanisms we're going to use, like which channels. So for instance, do we want to first focus on building a YouTube channel? And from YouTube, we have tons of clips that go into social and blah, 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 or is it a podcast and we do something like that? There's just, I think, a little bit more to it, but I also think that it's a good place for somebody to get their feet wet. So if they feel like it's a podcast and that's the way they want to go, then that's fine. But I do believe that there's more of a strategy behind it than just picking the end product. Because that's really what he's saying to you is, I've decided to do a podcast. And it's kind of like, well, okay, but before you do a podcast, what are you talking about? And what's your strategy? And who's your audience? Like, who's it for? All that kind of stuff. So I
And how
agree
are
with
you going to
you.
cut through the noise? Because if you've been to any of the podcasting channels,
Right.
wherever you get your podcast, the list is long. So,
Yeah.
a lot of these are celebrity podcasts, or they're very specialized to a certain market, or, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So you don't just throw a podcast out there and think that's going to do it. I think that's very important. I mean, I think it's easy. Some of us, our websites exist. we have places on our website,
Mhm.
YouTube. Let's not forget, everybody wants to pick on poor YouTube, man, but YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you use this platform? And we know a picture's worth 1,000 words. So how much is a video worth?
Well, and they are self-selecting your audience because the people that go there are the people that go there to learn something before they. So you have this like perfect audience
Yes,
within the
and you
YouTube
can put
environment.
that as a podcast. Video podcasting is a whole thing. All of my programs live
Mhm.
in the podcast world on YouTube,
Right.
as well as on playlist, and you can create playlist. Like there's lots of tools, but that's what I'm saying. You need somebody to strategize with you and come up with this content, and also keep you from making it salesy, because our tendency will be to go to sales and try to close the sale or close for the appointment, or, and yes, those things are definitely part of an overall strategy, but that can't be the strategy.
Well, and I think this is a really good segue to talk about misusing ChatGPT because the other thing that I think we all,
That's so true.
yeah, there's this whole, I think, belief that what comes out of ChatGPT is appropriate for anything like this. Educational content. It is a tool like everything else. Don't get me wrong. I think it does awesome stuff. I use it all the time, but it is very much a tool and not something that doesn't require a ton of refinement. Because, in my opinion, if you do not use it properly, you end up sounding even more like everybody else because
Yep.
everybody's going to be like sounding like ChatGPT basically, which is god awful most of the time, to be quite honest. And
Oh,
it,
I can so spot it. It's
yeah.
voluminous.
Oh my
It's
God, the language is
illuminating. It's like, oh, please, nobody talks like this.
exactly. Exactly. I literally have to yell at ChatGPT to stop sounding like ChatGPT all the time. And I've trained it. Like I've done a lot of
Yeah,
work to
I have my
train
own where
mine.
I train it my
Oh
style
yeah,
and
it's
I
terrible.
still take it. I go, okay, good concept. Now I'm going to redo
Right.
it.
But we do know that there, so I think the bottom line is the roadmap is really important. The strategy is really important. Then you have to think about the execution. But I will say you don't have to roll out a incredibly huge education strategy at the beginning either. So it doesn't have to be a bazillion dollars and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I think the trick is just being realistic about, do you have somebody in-house that can handle the execution or not? Does it need to be an outsource? And do you have the ability to put a strategy together in the first place? Most people are new to this, so probably not so much. But that part's not a massive investment. And you think
No.
about how much money people are spending on, let's print another brochure and let's do this. And a lot of that stuff is just not that effective. Let's face it. I'm not saying you don't need it, but if this could go a much longer way, and it's one of the very few investments that really, I think, can add value more than almost any other kind of investment as it relates to sales and marketing. Truly.
Well, and I think if you know your unique selling proposition, so again, you don't sound salesy. You don't say, oh, we do this better than anybody
Right.
else, but you can point out things that you are doing
Right.
well, not and go, oh, we're bodacious builders and we do this better than anybody else. But you can say, we have structured walls. We use structured basements, structured walls in our basement. So and this is why we like this product. So let's take you on a tour. This is how they work. And your manufacturers, like the people that are giving you these great products, they have explainer videos, they have education for you. It
Mhm.
may not be the best in the world, but it's a good start. It's a good place to say, this is why I'm using this product. But
Mhm.
again, I think one offs, great, but to really demystify this process of building a home, it can be
Mhm.
really scary. And you can look at our offsite builder partners to look at some of the things that they're doing and how they're doing this in a couple of different ways. Some of them are just videos of raising a home after it's already gone, it's been manufactured, it went out on flatbed, and now it's on the home site. What does a raising look like? It could also, it's also like, hey, how do we insulate your walls? Literally, here's us putting the cellulose in a wall that's laying on its side, and look at this machine stamping this down. Think of how what the benefit of all the cellulose is going to be on your energy bill. I mean, they get it. They're ahead of us in this.
Yeah, it's
So
really true. I mean, I like to always think of it like it's a replacement for the friction in the sales and marketing process. It's like, where is there friction in your sales and marketing process? Is it in the how, like maybe you do have a different building process that you need to explain to people, or maybe it is something along the lines of, you don't want to repeat the same pitch over and over and over again. So it's maybe that's helps shorten the sales cycle. Like there's lots of spots where there's friction, and this is another way to use it as well. I don't know. There's just so much. You and I get very excited about this. So hopefully everybody else will too.
yeah,
But I kind of think
traditional
it's a,
marketing, I think that's something you and I have talked about. And
yeah,
the challenge with builders is we tend to look at what other builders are doing, and we do that.
right.
And so at some point, it doesn't stand out. You're just like everybody else. And yet you're telling me when I come in to work with you, hey, we're really great at da 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 da. Okay, why aren't you telling anybody that?
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? Look at our beautiful home. And like, it's not about that. They can see that you build a beautiful home. They want to see the nitty gritty of how you got from that piece of dirt to now there's a home on it or a community
Right.
on it, and why when they pre-sale, like they buy into a pre-sale community where you're not even finished with the land development and the horizontal, why does it take so long? Because now that they've signed the purchase agreement, while they tell you, well, we're not in any hurry, we want to build, we don't need to be in our home until blah blah blah, and the next thing you know, they're standing in your sales office going, why isn't my home finished? Because you wrote
And
the
they're not
purchase agreement
happy.
yesterday. We haven't even sent off for the permit yet. There's
Well,
a
and that's the
whole
end of
lot
your
of
referral.
stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity to build the strategy around this. I think resources with builders are probably that's going to be our biggest objection, and consistency. Because a
Right.
lot of builders start stuff and then they get distracted by all the other stuff they have to do, and they're like, this is not their primary thing. So that's
Right.
where I'm saying have somebody that this is their primary thing, whether you do it in-house or you hire it done. It's something, it's important. And if it's
Mhm.
important, we should map it out, give ourselves a roadmap, figure out what our ROI on it should be, and then start to implement.
Yeah.
And there's
And
going to be some testing and doing different
oh, for
things.
sure. There has to be. I think that's a really critical piece for everybody. You've got to also be comfortable with the idea of using your metrics to make adjustments. This is going to change. Markets change, people change, your audience changes. It's going to continue to evolve, which is great too, though. It just gives you another opportunity to touch people. So that's the part that I think is kind of exciting. I don't think of it as a bad thing, especially as long as you're not spending $1 billion on every video, or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You can tweak and change, and if you have to get rid of something, you can. But in a lot of cases, it's just here's what's new, and there's another reason for them to want to watch your video or do whatever. So I think honestly, if you think about the different stages of the buying process, even the very last stage, like what you just described, I think is critical. So the idea of having kind of like it's almost like an onboarding process, right?
It
So
is. Yeah.
somebody's purchased your home, then you have an educational series that takes them through to the end of that part. And then guess what? Now you're talking about no post-sale confusion, nobody's complaining, and probably a big increase in referrals. So you've got another reason to invest in something for that reason alone. And that's just one part of the process.
Yeah, you can take this, you can break it into the warranty process. So post close, like with our CRMs, we tend to drop our drip campaigns
Yeah.
at the signing of the purchase agreement. There's a whole lot that happens in between. And as long as your timing is correct. So I know when we built this home in 2020, I kept getting the videos from the builder because they just started this process about what to expect next. And I'm laughing and I'm going, yeah, we're at installation, so I'm not really sure why you're telling me all about pouring a slab, but okay. you know, And they were good, but the timing was way off on them. So again, that's all part of this strategy. And if you're going to use it as a post sale or post close, they can be invaluable. Think about that. And you don't have people freaking out and calling your warranty and blowing up your warranty over something like, oh, did you know you need to caulk your windows every year? Do you know you need to caulk your showers every year? And all of the maintenance stuff like that, this stuff can go out, and your CRM is a perfect tool. You've invested in it. Odds are we're not using it. So again, these have so many different levels that can set you apart. And if you're doing those things, you are building a natural referral base. And and that's a warm lead all day long when it comes from a referral.
100%, 100%. And you can do this think about all of your different audiences. So now that like everybody's got this idea of what we're talking about, now go back and think about the different audiences that you might want to focus on. And we're going to get into that in the next segment. But, I really think it gets part of the reason to, sort of think through the strategy is also now there are all sorts of other cool ways in which we can not just use the education, but deliver it. So for instance, the most obvious stuff is, what people are used to. So you're going to go to YouTube, or you're going to see a reel on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you're going to follow a story or whatever it is. Those are really awesome. But we won't talk about this all today, but I'm going to tease everybody because there's things like GPTs. These are a whole nother cool thing that you and I have talked about because I love this.
So
This is
fun
so
to us.
exciting.
Yeah, we're having a blast with it.
This is the idea of putting a GPT on your site that's loaded up with all this wonderful content that you start creating. So over time, now you've got this wonderful tool that will also be another support system, another service method, another way of supporting people very cost effectively, but uses this awesome content that you're building. And if we
So
build it in
just
the right way,
simplify that if you haven't gotten into that or started talking to your marketing company about this. This is about building basically a search engine, for lack of a better word to use, but it's a personalized search that is strictly doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't go to anybody else's site, and it's basically you're building a help bot. So I type in, I'm concerned about cracking concrete, and I'm doing it on your site because I bought from you. Hey, X Bill or Bodacious Builders, I bought from you, and now my concrete's cracking. And now all of a sudden, the video is going to load about cracking concrete. So it's more of that personalized experience on the website. So because we all have ADHD today, man. We don't have time to be searching through and combing 12 pages down or
we're
going
digging through an
below the
FAQ.
fold, and
Yeah.
we
I
want
mean,
it now.
really, it's an AI replacement for all the FAQs and chatbots and things that are currently being used. It's the next generation. And I will tell you today, every single website will have one of these. So if you don't do it today, you're going to be doing it soon enough. So you might as well be the leader. They're not expensive, but you do need to create some content for it. So it makes sense. Again, this is why we go back to working with somebody that knows what they're doing. You'll have a strategy that could end up there, as well as all of these other mechanisms that we're talking about, whether it's YouTube or
It
whatever.
all ties together, these things that we've been trying to get you guys to
Yeah.
do for a while, and you just don't have time for it. It's not, I think everybody agrees it's all a really good idea. It's just a question of, I don't have time. I'm busy building homes. I'm busy putting out fires. Well, I always say the best way to stop putting out fires is stop starting them to begin with. And this is one of those proactive strategies that when you're doing this, you're getting proactive, and you're getting proactive in your marketing efforts. You're getting proactive in your communication with your potential buyers and buyers. You're getting proactive and thinking about how to define who you are and being that thought leader. And I really think smaller builders are going to have an easier time doing this
Mhm.
because they don't have the constraints of the big builder marketing that is so boxed in because of their size. They have to be in order to control it. As a smaller builder, you can thrive in this space. Like, I just really think that's exciting.
It is incredibly exciting, and I don't know, do do you want to talk at all about some case studies, like people that are doing this? I mean, we've already given some pretty good examples. I don't know if you feel like we should go deeper there or not, but when we talk on the next segment about how to think through where do you start, which audience are you serving first, which need are you serving first, all of that, that's going to sort of give them some real, like, I think, food for thought on this. Do you want to talk at all about
Sure.
any case study?
Yeah, I mean, one of the builders, again, I'm going to ask forgiveness because I didn't ask permission, but I'm bragging about them, so hopefully they'll be okay with that, is Bensonwood Homes. So Ted Benson, one of the pioneer thought leaders. I mean, when he started his company, he literally wrote the book on how to do timber frames. So pre-internet, pre-everything, he's like writing the book, the hard copy book, right, of how to do timber frame and timber frame homes and the why and all of this. And so their sales strategy kind of evolved as we're going to do this educational marketing, and our buyers are going to be those buyers who identify because they're a sustainability builder. They're very interested in the HERS ratings and having very low HERS ratings, conservation, green building, and they're very proud of that. Their buyers tend to identify with that. And a lot of that reason the buyers identify with it is they're self-selecting in through this educational process.
Right.
So they're seeing the homes, they're seeing how it's built. They get tours of the factory, tours of the products. They're seeing the raisings once they go on site, and then they're the customizations, and all of it is all broken down bite by bite, and they have it all living on their YouTube. They also market with it. It's part of their CRM. They drop it out as their sales team. It has been more of a customer service team that is now becoming more sales focused as the process has gotten even more involved, and they're having to do a lot more because of the market and the demand that was coming in. So it's been a very interesting evolution to see. Again, an offsite builder, but on site we can totally apply this. So it's something very exciting. And if you haven't visited their website, it's bensonwoodhomes.com, and they're absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking. So and their factory tour and the tour of their facility, the craftsmanship is unreal.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, after you told me about them, I went and checked them out too. And I think they're doing a lovely job of this, and I think it's also really important for everybody to realize that this is a process. Like, this isn't going to be one of those investments that they're going to throw up a few videos and they're going to be done. Like, they need to remember that if there's a commitment to education, that there's going to be basically a forever role for investing in these different educational nuggets, depending on which type, but they're still all basically educational nuggets that will be used. We call it micro education just because it's small, or nano, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the people that are doing it well are few and far between, truly. In almost any market, by the way. It's not just in new home builders. It's not as common as you'd think for this to be done well. So we want to help people do that. And that's something you and I have been talking about since you and I connected. And I'm really excited that, people are going to see this as sort of an example. And then on the next session, we're going to be talking about sort of the how. Today was the why, I guess, right? And we're going to go into
Why,
the
and the
how.
introduction for sure of what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah, for
the
sure.
the yeah, the why and the what. Start opening your mind to some of these things and really thinking about, okay,
Mhm.
I don't have the money of a big publicly traded builder, so what can I do? And we're saying, hey, this is something that really, with some help, anybody can do.
Mhm.
And you
I
don't
couldn't
need
agree
a big
more.
budget because none of this, you're working with a startup company that is starting to do this, and they
Yeah.
right out of the gate they were like, we need this. This is going to help us to grow to where we want because they are a startup.
They recognize that this will in fact save them money over time. And I think that's something that's maybe not the easiest thing for everybody to imagine, but they know that this will shorten the sales cycle. They know that what they're doing needs to be explained properly and educated. Education is a big part of their process for the type of people that will buy their homes. So they get it. They completely get it. So we've already created a strategy. They're very small. They're just literally just launched. Like 5 minutes ago, they launched,
Yeah.
and they're all over this. So I think that that tells you a little bit about, and how to approach this. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to spend $1 bazillion on this. And truly, you can do a lot of it yourself if you're willing to be consistent. I think to your point, Kimberly, that was one of the most important things I think that you said was how important it's going to be. Throwing up a few videos and then not touching it again is not going to work.
No, and that happened with blogs. Like we had so many builders. Yeah, we're going to blog. And you go to their website and they
Yeah.
haven't blogged in 5 years, right? So, again, I'm saying get some help. This is worth it. And this is going to set you up. It's going to set you up for the way your website is found. It's going to set you up for the way people find you. It's going to set you up for the way people buy. It's going to help your sales team because now they have these resources to use to help buyers through the process. You can use these in your sales offices. You can use them as part of your drip campaigns through your CRM. I mean, so many of our builders don't even have drip campaigns because they're like, I don't
Right.
know what to say. Well, hello, we just gave you a whole list of
Oh
things
my
that you can
God,
do
100%. And so many different ways you can tell stories. You can, I mean, there's just so many things that you can do. Like and the
to
social
have a
proof piece.
strategy.
Yeah, the social proof piece of this is really important too. But, I think the way I like to think of it the most is, it gives you a lasting competitive edge that's 100% built on trust, which is like really, when you think about it, that's the holy grail of marketing. um, it gives you this investment in sort of clarity and vision and credibility. But it is also, I think, the only kind of marketing that gains value over time.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
can be repurposed,
yeah.
in so many different ways. And, I mean, I've built my business on the core concept of this, which is doing things like this, where we provide you with that information. And do I get business off of these? Maybe not one individual, but the fact that there is a collective of it. So, yes, I do get business off of it. I have developed street cred for doing that. I mean, I love you guys, but I don't do this out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing it to help you build your business. And in doing so, knowing
Yeah.
that I might be part of that strategy, right? So that's what you're doing here. It's
Yeah.
content marketing on steroids because it's educational and it's really drawing people in because I think content marketing has almost gotten very stale.
Yeah, well, to your point, it depends on the approach. I mean, you've had a natural, either you figured this out a long time ago, Kimberly, or you do it naturally, but you have always led as a thought leader. That's why you're so well known and you have such a good reputation in this space. You're in your space, you are the de facto thought leader. And you've done
You.
that. Well, it's true. I mean, honestly, you can see it. I mean, my going to Vegas with you was hysterical for me because I'm like, I mean, I knew I loved you, but I didn't realize that I was hanging out with the queen of the convention. That was fun. So I have to tell you, I think that you've done it naturally and beautifully. So you are a great example. The fact that you are doing this, I think is just one of the education marketing things that you do. And look how well that's, sort of turned out for you. Like you are the
And it works for
thought leader.
anybody. I mean, it really doesn't matter what the end product is, right? It
Yeah.
matters that you are establishing yourself as that thought leader
Yeah.
and that people are looking for that information. They want it. They're using it as part of their strategy to buy a home. They're
Mhm.
going, wait a minute, I hadn't thought about this. You mean I might be able to buy a new home for about the same? Or, it's not scary to build a new home because that's the reason people don't want to go through that process. I mean, they're like, it's like death and taxes. They don't want to go through it. They're like, oh, we were end up divorced because we built a home. That's not true. That doesn't have to be that way. And it can actually be quite cool, I think. I
I think so
love,
too.
I love the smell of sawdust in the morning. So why wouldn't I share that with people?
Well, that could be why we are, sisters, sort of torn apart at birth. Because I'm exactly the same. My father is a carpenter, and I got to tell you, he did kitchens for subdivision homes. So I come by this honestly, honest to God, and I'm the same. Sawdust, love it
Sawdust. We
to this
love the
day.
smell of sawdust. That's
To
our
this
connection right
day,
there, right
yeah,
there. So stay tuned for part two. I
yeah.
mean, we have so much more on the strategy here and how you can start to put this together. And we're gonna bring you another whole hour of this information. But in the meantime, any questions that you have while you're waiting on us to deliver this exciting content to you and education to you, reach out to either one of us, and I will make sure in the show notes that you have where you can reach us both. So
Perfect.
thank
Thank
you
you,
for joining
Kimberly.
us today. And thank you, Sabina, for sharing your knowledge, but also just your optimism and your spirit with all of us, because
Well,
I
thank
think it's
you.
contagious.
Thank you. I love it. You know, I love this space too. I'm very excited about this. So I appreciate you having me. Thank you so, so much. I hope everybody got something out of this, and we'll do part two, maybe even a part three. We had a couple of ideas, so we'll see what happens, but next time, I guess.
Next time, for sure.
Bye, everybody.